Howdy, my name is Reed Buskirk and I'm your instructor for Principles of Geology 101, Asynchronous Online. So what is this asynchronous online course? Well, it means that everything is going to be online. You will have hard due dates for your assignments, quizzes, exams, but the time and the schedule you make on your own end to complete those assignments and submit them on time is up to you. This will be a good exercise in time management, especially for onboarding students who are about to join us this fall. So a little bit about me. I am a PhD student here in the Department of Geology and Geophysics at Texas A&M University. Just call me Zeke. My office is in Halbudi 376. My email is reed_buskirk@tamu.edu. Feel free to email me if you've got questions. For this course, I will have office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 2. On Zoom, you can find the link in the syllabus or in person. I'm generally in my office from 9 to 5 most days of the week anyway, so if you're in College Station or close by and just want to pop by and ask a question in person, chat, or just come to the office hours in person, that is perfectly fine as well. If that time doesn't work for you, email me and we can set up an appointment on an as-needs basis. So a bit of background on me. I'm from Kentucky originally, from a little college town called Richmond, Kentucky, host of Eastern Kentucky University, where I did my dual undergraduate degrees in geology and chemistry. So by training, I'm a hydrogeologist and what's called an aqueous geochemist. I then did my master's degree at Texas A&M University, which I finished in the fall of 21, and currently I'm working on the PhD. I've also included some pictures. The picture under me is from the back porch of my home in Kentucky. So Kentucky it's like Hopton, rolling meadows, farms, and woodlands as far as the eye can see. And I've also, for grins, included a picture of my family dog, Winslow, and of a giant shroom my sister found in the woods. Now, as a PhD student, our primary goal, in addition to being trained to teach the next generation of scientists and independent thinkers, is to conduct original research, to improve our understanding of the natural world, and to make a meaningful intellectual contribution. So my PhD contribution is to improve our understanding of how arsenic, nitrate, and organic carbon and how they transport in river surface water in riverbank interfaces with groundwater and surface waters, because these are important for water supply, especially as climate change progresses. Why should we care about arsenic in water in general? Well, about 3 to 500 million people worldwide consume groundwater that has arsenic over the WHO's limit, which is about 10 micrograms per liter. This causes a whole suite of health problems, including learning disabilities in children, increased risk of carcinoma, and some fairly nasty skin lesions, among other health problems. Of the few hundred million people worldwide, about 2 million of them live in the US. And of that 2 million in the US, there are about 300,000 of them in Texas. So these would be people around in the Gulf Coast Aquifer region near Houston, or up in the Panhandle, because the Ogallala Aquifer has some arsenic issues. My research aims to improve our understanding of arsenic transport in riverine systems. And for a PhD, our research is broken up into 3 chapters. I like to think of it as 3 tasks the wizard's apprentice has to do to show to the big wizards that in the committee so they can get their wizard status and wizard hat, so to speak. Anyway, my first chapter uses experimental approaches, so this apparatus, to understand how organic carbon controls arsenic absorption and desorption on sediments in riverbanks. So what is this crazy thing you're looking at? It is an apparatus controlled by an Arduino and a computer to simulate a mixing zone in a riverbank. So when the river stage goes up and down, that causes water to move back and forth in a riverbank. The back and forth movement of water can cause arsenic to adsorb into sediments or be released from them. And organic carbon is important for controlling this. So I explore that with this apparatus. For my second chapter, I do something a little different. I look at how organic carbon and nitrogen are co-transported in floodwaters. My care, nitrate is a fairly significant contaminant of concern for surface water bodies especially, because it's sourced from agricultural, excess fertilizer application, and when it ends up in receiving water bodies like the Gulf of Mexico, it can cause eutrophication, which is excess algal blooms creating poor water conditions, and it impacts aquatic life. So if you heard of the dead zones of the Gulf of Mexico, they're from nitrate contamination. My research looks at floodwaters and how do floods carry nitrate and how do the sources of nitrate in these floodwaters change over time. Most studies in nitrate transporting rivers look at low flow conditions because they're easier to work with. No one looks at flood conditions for the most part, so that's where the novelty of this work comes in. Also, for grins, I included pictures of my study site along the Brazos River and its tributaries, a well that I sampled, and a turtle that I rescued on the road during my field work back in 24. He got stuck in the median on University Avenues, was turning into Highway 60, so I picked him up. He became my field buddy before I released him. For my third and final chapter, I am trying to plug a hole in the literature gap for arsenic transport. So for context, in Southeast Asia, Bangladesh, West Bengal, there's a lot of work that's been done over the past 30 years to understand how arsenic has been transported inside river and floodplain aquifers. So a lot of good stuff there. However, no one really has thought about, okay, how does the arsenic get to these floodplains and to these systems in the first place to contaminate these groundwaters? It's assumed that they come from the Himalaya mountains where you weather sediments, transport them down a river, and then dump them. So stuff that you will also encounter when we go over sedimentary rocks in a few weeks. The caveat, though, is no one really understands how arsenic is moved from point mountains to point basin, and the processes that control what minerals are carrying the arsenic and how they change. That's my goal. I am trying to look at what minerals in suspended river sediments and bedload river sediments carry the arsenic in the Brahmaputra River in India, and how these mineral hosts change moving downstream and as they cross different geologic formations, which contribute different minerals. So pictures I have here are from where I was doing field work with our collaborators in India along the Brahmaputra. All right, and even though I'm a PhD student and doing a lot of research, I make time for myself because, and this also is important for you undergraduates, especially the onboarding undergraduates who are starting college for the first time. A college degree is a marathon, not a sprint. You pace yourself and take your time and make sure to make time to take care of yourself and to have fun. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. So off the clock, things I do to recharge and have fun include painting miniatures and playing tabletop games. So I paint minis like the bomb, which you could see here for games like Trench Crusade, Necromunda, and Dungeons & Dragons. I also love to cook. I have celiac disease, so there's nowhere in town that I know of so far that I can eat at, so I just do all my home cooking. Makes life simpler. And I also like building things. Building things makes me happy. which also leads me into the first assignment and my first thing for you all. I want to learn a bit about you all. So, this class will have a lot of discussion posts, so every week you're going to be required to respond to a prompt, post the reply in a discussion, and then reply to other people's responses. So this is setting you up for the first week here. And this is your first prompt. So what you'll do is go into Canvas, go into Modules, and find the discussion section for week 1. Go into that, and then in a message, post your answers to all these. Your name, year, and major. So perspective. If you're coming into A&M for the first time as a prospective student, just put down whatever major you think you're going to do. It's okay if that changes. I changed my mind about what major I wanted to do my first semester, and that is okay. I thought I was going to go into computer science, and I found computers and me didn't get along as well as I thought they would. So I found chemistry. It all worked out in the end. So be open to change. It's okay if you don't know exactly what you're doing. So also tell everyone your hobbies, your pets, whatever your furry, feathered, or scaly friends may be. Your favorite rock or mineral, if you've got one. What is the thing you're looking forward to the most in the class? And is this your first asynchronous class or not? If you have any tips for staying on track, this will be nice for students who are doing an asynchronous class for the first time. Or just anything else you have questions about. There are no questions that are too strange, silly, or stupid. You may get goofy answers. And also a picture. That helps us to get to know you. If you do not feel comfortable sharing a picture of yourself, that is perfectly fine. You don't feel pressure to have a picture of yourself if you don't feel comfy with it. But if you can please post a picture of something that we can at least associate with you, whatever that may be, that is fine as well. Just please make sure the picture is PG. And then finally, ask a question. It could be anything. I've got examples here from when Dr. Lenz taught the class. It could be a good place for coffee in town, advice studying, pizza place. Pizza's not good for me since I have celiac disease. But if you know of a good celiac-friendly restaurant in town, I would love to know. All right, down to business. This slide effectively is a checklist of what you need to do for the first week. So going from the top, the first thing you're going to do for this class and also for any other class you take, especially if you're starting college for the first time, is read the syllabus. The syllabus is a contract. It describes what you as an instructor are expected to do. So I'm expected to follow the syllabus to teach certain things and administer exams and do things by certain days. And likewise, it outlines expectations for you students of what you need to do to get a grade and complete your assignments by specific days. So it's a contract that works both ways. And they're always different depending on the instructor, so make sure to read them. Second job, introduce yourself on the discussion board. So if you go to the slide previously and follow those questions, do that before July 6th and you got that. Step 3, complete the syllabus quiz. So you need to read the syllabus for this quiz. I think it's also one of the timed quizzes as well. So make sure you read the syllabus carefully before that. Step 4, complete the academic honesty quiz by Monday, July 6th. This is a very easy course. This is supposed to be a fun course. Cheating doesn't make any sense here, and I will have no mercy with it. Consider that my singular and only warning. Point 5, complete modules 1 and 2 by Monday, July 6th. So that will be kind of a 3-part thing. First, you're going to watch the lecture, which is a video recording of a lecture done by our esteemed Dr. Brandy Lentz. If you have questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer, explain stuff. And then the second part is you have to complete the participation activity. That goes over what the lecture presentation discussed. So you have to do the lecture presentation in order to answer the participation activity. And then after you finish all the stuff for the week, you will have the module quizzes, which will test your mastery over the subject. So make sure you know your stuff and are comfortable with what you know before you attempt that. Final thing. So all these points from 1 to 5 are due July 6th. After July 6th, everyone's questions and initial response is on the discussion board. You need to then respond to at least 2 of your classmates' posts to the discussion board by Friday, July 10th. So you'll have a 4-day window between July 6th and 10th to reply to your peers' stuff. Cool? There we go. The button wasn't working properly on my keyboard. Fixed now. Okay. Now, for the course materials, these are all recommended. You are not required to get the book. If you want a book to go with it, by all means go for it. You will want An Introduction to Physical Geology by Tarbeck and these people, 13th edition. The ebook's perfectly fine for this course. If you're a person who likes physical copies of books, you can get a physical copy, but it's generally about $100. So yeah, the book is not required though. I remember going through and buying annoyingly expensive textbooks as well, and I'm not making you do that either. All right, grade breakdown. There are 4 major components. First, your exams, your quizzes, participation, and then discussions. Also, as a point of reference, everyone should be able to get an A in this course. You just come in, participate, engage with the material, and you should be able to get an A fairly easily. All right, exams. So there are 3 of them. They're on July 13th, 24th, and August the 3rd. And as a matter of policy, there are no makeup exams, period. Unless you have a documented emergency. Documented means you present me via email or some way with legitimate documentation, so like a university excused absence or something akin to it, that I can then approve of. If you know for whatever reason you cannot take an exam on those days, let me know and send me documentation early. That way we can figure out how to accommodate it. All right. Things to be aware about the exam. It is a timed affair. So you will have 60 minutes to complete the exam, but you have a window between 8 o'clock and midnight of the day of the exam to take it. So plan your day accordingly, in or around work, classes, whatever it may be. So you'll just pick the 1 hour block that works best for you and be ready to lock in and focus on the exam. Each exam will be 50 questions at 2 points per question, and they will be open note and open book. However, be aware that you'll want to master the material as best you can, because you cannot rely on just being able to look everything up and not knowing this. So, you'll waste a lot of time just flipping around being confused. Master the material, but keep everything on standby. That way, you can just pop open the book if you want to make sure you want to clear anything up. That way, you kind of know where everything is, so you waste less time. Each exam is 10% of your total grade. All right, quizzes. Each module has a quiz over the lecture material and assigned readings. So this is the mastery quiz I mentioned earlier. It is a 25-minute quiz. It has 10 to 15 questions. You will have 2 attempts and the highest is kept. So if you screw something up, you have another go. Or if the cat pulls the plug out of the back of your PC and you lose power and you have to reboot, you have another go. And the answers will be provided the day after the due date. You got to do the quiz on your own, but you can use open to open book. Same things that I talked about for the exam apply. Know your stuff. Don't rely on just being able to flip to find the answers. The questions will require you to think. Therefore, you will need to know and master your material before going into this. Also, I will drop the lowest quiz score at the end of the semester. Maybe you just had a bad day. That's okay. Maybe the cat was extra naughty and decided to pull the PC plug out from behind your computer twice, causing you to screw up both quiz attempts. That's okay. You have one quiz that's dropped. Participation. So each module has a participation activity that consists of about 10, 20 questions. And to answer them, you need to watch the lectures because the lectures will tell you the answer. So my recommended way to go through this is to have this quiz open in another browser or on another monitor while you watch the lecture. That way you can just fill in the questions and answer them as you go through the lecture. Also, it may be worth writing down copies of the questions and responses so you can use them as study material for the quizzes later. And just like the timed quizzes, you will have 2 attempts, even though there isn't a time limit to this one. So again, if your cat pulls your plug, you have another go. And also the lowest is dropped. All right, discussion boards. Every class week, there will be a discussion board with a prompt, similar to the one I gave at the beginning of this PowerPoint for you to introduce yourself. You must respond to the initial prompt in about 150 words by Wednesday each week. This is so that everyone has 2 days of time to make up an answer and write up the answer by Friday, a couple days later. Be aware to just do not make filler for the answer. Give it serious thought and make it a good response. Also, do not feed this into AI or some similar text generator or a chatbot or artificial intelligence. AI is not permitted at any point in this class period, unless I give you explicit permission. Fair enough? All right. Late work policy. Late work is not accepted for anything except for the participation quizzes. However, caveat, 0.5% will be deducted per hour late, which is about 12% per day. After 4 days, you can complete the assignment at any point for the next exam for half credit. So for class topics, these are all big picture topics. That's kind of the theme for this class. We are interested in the big picture themes and ideas of geology. So we'll cover plate tectonics, minerals, the rock cycle, and some more specialized but important topics in geology, such as geologic time, groundwater and surface water, my favorite topic, and glaciation, deserts, and climate change. So, my expectations for you all. First, at the end of this course, I'm hoping you all develop a greater appreciation and understanding of the natural world around you. Engage in good discussions about the natural world and geology, and also have fun. This course is designed to be a fun romp through the backyard of geology. At the end, you should come away with the big ideas and understanding of how geology works and influences the world around you. It should be a blast. And also, ask questions. There are no questions that are too silly or stupid. You may get silly answers from me, though. All right, I've also got some slides of other associated material as kind of supporting this class, and also your education here as a whole. First, especially for oncoming students. This is important to know because A&M has fantastic medical and mental health facilities. I have used both extensively, and they are wonderful. So I've also got a couple of slides down that has more contact information as well. Also, if I remember correctly, even if you don't have A&M insurance or don't have insurance, you can just go to A&M's medical center and they can do some stuff for you for free anyway. So they have a mental health app for A&M as well. That might be worth checking out. They also have this community resource listing, which I put here on the slide. This is all of the resources you have available to help you out if you're in trouble or suffering here on A&M. You also might have the case where you may not be having an issue yourself, but you are worried about someone else who you think is having problems, whether that be physical, mental, or something else. So A&M has a Tell Somebody program. So you go onto this website and you file a report saying, hey, I'm worried about so-and-so person because of whatever things I've been observing. Can somebody help them? They will dispatch someone to check on them, make sure everything's okay, and try to get them help if possible, and if they're open to it. So keep this in mind. All right, and for contacting me, the number one best way to contact me is via email. I also generally am around in my office on weekdays, so Monday to Friday, from 9 to 5. I will generally be in my office or in and out between my labs doing my research and other work. But email is the number one best way to contact me. I will generally reply in a few hours during the weekdays during working hours. If you reply after that time, I generally will get to it in the morning when I crack open my inbox after breakfast. On the weekends, it may be slower because I'm also taking a little weekend time for myself. But generally, I should respond to you within a few hours, if not a day at the absolute longest. Otherwise, that is pretty much it. That is all I have for you. Good luck with the course. This should be fun. Please message me if you got questions.